Good afternoon, friends. I welcome you all to the yet another session of the Fund Helpline channel. So today we will also be discussing a very important topic. As I told you earlier, so today the topic of discussion is on international fund. As you maybe if you have gone through our the last few videos, we have talked about the international fund in our the portfolio allocation video, where we told about what is the importance of international fund. We have discussed there about international fund in a very brief manner. So, and we told that there will be later on we'll be doing another video on international fund, where we'll be discussing about international fund in detail. So today we have we are we will be discussing about the international fund in details. What is the first of all what is the international fund? The fund which is basically investing outside the India, outside Indian market, we are basically consider them as an international fund. Though there are different categories among the international fund, some of the fund which are basically investing into the US market. There are some funds which are basically investing into the emerging market, like your China, like different emerging market across the world, like your Brazil, Korea, Taiwan, and there are a lot of other countries where the fund is investing. There are some funds which are basically investing in Southeast Asian market, like your China, Hong Kong, Korea, and all. And these are the basically the fund which is basically a regional fund. You can call them regional fund. There are some specific fund which is different categories, like your gold fund, like your energy energy kind of a sectoral fund. There are some fund which is basically into the agri commodities kind of a fund, which are basically investing into the global agri commodities and global energy themes. So there are, if you go through, there are around 8 to 9 different categories or different types of global fund is available across the different fund house. Okay, so most of the, and apart from that, you have the passive fund, like your Nasdaq ETF, like your S&P ETF kind of a fund, which are basically a replica of Nasdaq and S&P. These are basically the passive fund, which is basically investing into the US market. So these are the various types of different global funds is available for subscription in India. You can do the mutual investment in these funds from India itself, and that is invested money will be into the Indian currency, not in dollars. So today, if you see, there are around 40 to 45 kind of a global funds available into the Indian market, and some of them are passive and some of them are active. uh, there are some fund which is managed by the different global companies, like your Investco, like your the Franklin kind of a company. These are basically they have a global footprints, so they are managing their funds from their means global from the global head office. They are managing the fund, and there are some Indian companies which are basically investing into the different companies, fund of different companies. Basically, if you see that the Axis, like your fund house like Axis, ICICI, and some of the other fund houses which are basically investing into the other funds of the and they have a tie up with another company in the US markets, where they basically putting the money into the fund of means those schemes of in those schemes they are basically the fund of fund. So this is the how the this international in investing structure works. So then what are the factors? Now we need to understand what are the factors will be considered, need to consider before investing into the global fund. Before that, we will be discussing about the what is the importance of international investing into the international fund. Why should we put the money into the India international fund? Because our Indian market is growing quite well. The GDP growth of the Indian market and corporate profitability growth of the Indian market is quite good. So why will put the money into the global fund? First of all, the investment reason of investment is the global diversification. So as if you are putting the money, some of the money, if you are putting 100% of your money into the Indian market, so there is having the risk of there is a uncertainty if the Indian market do not perform well. So in that case, if you have a diversification across the globe, across the different fund houses of the global universe, and if you invest in the different global themes also, then yeah, your portfolio will be diversified across the globe, and there will not be, if the Indian funds and do not do well, so your portfolio will not be hit much, so you can earn from the different funds. So this is the global diversification, that is very very important thing in today's market. So that is why if you see the today if you see last 10 years, there are a lot of new, especially into last 2 to 3 years, there are a lot of new global fund is launched into the Indian market. If you see, if you go back in 10 years back, there are hardly very few number of global fund is available for subscription into the Indian market. But now people have understood, and especially the fund houses also understood the what is the important so of diversification of the globally. So they have launched different funds, so whether into the, and that is investing across the different market, different geographies. So this is a very good steps by the fund houses also. So they have bringing the opportunities for us to we can invest into the different global market and diversify our portfolio. And also in case of, if you see the diversification of the portfolio in this point, if I talk, then if you see, there is hardly very low correlation with the Indian market with the US market, and also with the market like Southeast Asian market, also Indian market having very low correlation. That is really work in diversification. If you are putting the money across the different geographies and the correlation is very low, then it really works, because the importance of diversification is to the first is consider should be, there should be low correlation. Means if some part of the, if you putting some money into the A and there is some putting some money into the B fund, so there, if there is a low, if there is a very high correlation, so both will perform in a same manner, when they will go up in the same manner and also go down in the same manner. But if there is a low correlation, means there may be sometime the one fund is up, one fund is down, so that will keep the balance maintain, will be able to help you to maintain the balance in your overall portfolio. So in any under any circumstances, your not portfolio will not be down very much and will not give you very abnormal kind of a profit. So it will quite a, it will overall it will give you the proper diversification of your portfolio. That is one of the major important point, you should be investing into the global market. Apart from that, if you see that the Indian if you see that the every year we see the Indian currency is depreciating against the dollar around 3 to 4% rate. As a result, what happen, if you see sometime the, if the global market even don't perform well also, you will get the benefit of currency depreciation. As a result, your fund will tend to give if you see the in terms of, if you means convert those investment into the Indian currency, you can see that your fund is giving around 3 to 4% additional return when you are converting those money to the Indian currency. That is one of the major benefit of investing. And also, as the also there is a means the currency depreciation, through the investing into the global fund, you are protecting the currency depreciation basically in your portfolio. So this is very very important. And if you see the fund also, if the fund performance perform well, the global fund I am talking about, and there is also the effect of currency depreciation, so both will help you to grow your portfolio in international fund. Then one of the major factor of investing important thing you need to consider when you are putting money into the global market. See the global GDP is means total Indian contribution to the global GDP is hardly 6 to 7%. So there is, if you see that outside the India, in the world market, there would 94% or 93% of the market is there. So you are getting the chance to investing into that market. See, sometimes those market or also do well. If you see the last 10 years history, if you compare the Indian market, India is a growing market and US is a developed market. So we know that the growing market or emerging market definitely perform well compared to the developed market as the economic growth is higher. But if you see that the last 10-year history, the Indian market with the global market like your Nasdaq. So Nasdaq has last 10 years outperformed the Indian market in large extent. So you need to understand sometime if some of the global market also do outperform the Indian market. Even sometimes there are different other markets also do perform very well compared to the India. So if you keep the overall global diversification, so definitely that will help you to to keep you balance in your portfolio and get the average return across. The average return will be coming from those investment that will be very good. So these are the things you need to consider. This is the means basically these are the basic reason why you should be investing into the global market. Then comes the point, means there are different, as I told earlier, there are different types of investment opportunities into the global market. There, as I told, there are around 40 to 45 Indian fund houses which is investing investing into the global market. So how to choose the fund? See, first of all, you need to understand that the US is the biggest market, and US market is the biggest market in the world, and is the most wide market, means wide research market, and the most of the US companies are means invest is presence is across the globe. So when you are putting the money into the US market, especially in a see, if you are investing in Nasdaq or S&P, you see that in the S&P companies, S&P 500 companies, they have 60% of their revenue is coming from the into the from coming from the non-US geography. So the majority of the revenue they are earning from the non-US market. So these are basically globally diversified company. Even in QCC, the Nasdaq, there are a lot of companies like Google, Alphabet, Amazon, Apple. They are also having their revenue share into the different. They are getting the revenue from the different geographies. So these are basically the global company. So when you are putting your money into the outside India, so you need to keep your money into the S&P and Nasdaq index, that is for sure. Apart from US market, you have the opportunity to invest in a country like second largest economy like your China. This is the biggest market, so you cannot avoid the China. But there are a lot of things you need to understand before putting the money into the China. So, but still, this China, this Chinese, Hong Kong, South Korea means basically total Southeast Asian market is a very good growing market, and there are a lot of companies who are doing the business globally, and some of the companies are very innovative, and some of the companies means some of the kind nature of business which are not available in India. So you can put some exposure into these markets also. And alternatively, you can look at some of the some funds which are investing into the global emerging markets, or in some of the funds which are there who are basically investing across US market, and also another market like Southeast Asia, China, these markets. So these funds are having presence across the globe. So you can look at on those funds also for the investment. Apart from that, as I talked about the specific funds like your energy fund, global energy fund, global commodities fund, global gold fund, and these are basically a thematic kind of a fund. And this should be, means you should considering you should means think about considering the investment in these funds only when you understand those themes in very well, or you have to understand, you need to consult your financial. If you don't understand of your own, you need to go and consult with the financial advisor who understand about this market, and those have a detailed knowledge about those funds. So you can invest in those funds provided you have a proper knowledge and proper understanding of the sector and the themes. Then only you can put the money in those funds. Apart from that, for global diversification, only US markets and the emerging markets and Southeast Asian market is good enough for the well diversification of your portfolio. So for these are the major things you need to understand when investing into the global market. And apart from that, there are some with the positive, there are some negatives also that I must share with you, because you don't know that there are today there are a lot of geopolitical risk is always there when you are putting money outside India. Because like today we have nowadays you are there is a war situation with Russia and Ukraine. The Europe market is somehow affected by that, and also some of the global market also affected by that. So there is always a geopolitical risk when you are putting money into the outside India, and you don't have a control over, and you don't have any understanding of those countries geopolitical situation. So these risks will be always there. So so before investing, you need to understand about those risks, and you should consult with the financial advisor or the expert about the risk, and should understand those things in detail. Then only you should put the money into the global market. Okay, so that is for today. So hope this will help you to understand about the global fund or international fund. So if you have any questions, please do write us. We'll definitely try to answer your questions. And if you like the video, please do like, please do it, share it among your friends and families. And also if you have any feedback, please that is also you can share with us. So thank you very much for today. We'd like to meet you soon.